by far the highest ceiling out of any team in the league. Elite talent, NBA shot making, versatility, and the best coach in the league in John Shire. They can beat you in multiple ways. Half court, full court, run and gun, walk it up. And they out-execute you, maybe except for that game versus Texas Tech.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Whether we become, so bitter that we can't accept another man's apology. We make mistakes all the time. And as a grown man, you have to say, I'm sorry every once in a while. And it's okay to say that. And the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Arvel Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is if they're playing a Joe Bowman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Who is that?
Here, but I have no idea.
You even know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Donnie? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The Early Line, only on...
Decisions 2026. Happy to have you as we are back in a big way. 2 hours today, Monday, and moving forward right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh live from the Decisions desk as we have ourselves plenty of action here on this Friday night. I believe that the people are ready to get involved with a slate that has college hoops, college football, NBA, and the Winter Classic as well. I figure if you're going to be here on time, why not reward you? I'm involved with the Winter Classic. I put some eyes on this game. I don't think there's going to be many goals. First of all, the whole aura around this Panthers-Rangers, Florida, Miami Winter Classic is a lot of unpleasantries. That continues with an under 5.5 at even money. But we also just have the fact that the Rangers played a 9-goal game, and the Rangers are one of the most anemic offenses in the league. These are still two squads that produce some of the better goaltenders in the sport. I'm going to take under 5.5, Panthers-Rangers, Winter Classic. We're involved. Hockey guy, through and through. That's how we start the new year. Now, if you are looking to bet the college football, you have action live now and 2 still to come. Hand up. I'm done. I can't anymore. I can't. Texas State Rice over 55 will take the push. Rice inside the 5, inside the 10, kicks a field goal. Texas State could have scored. They took knees. I don't know. I can't. The bowl record finished, I think, at 500. The college football playoff, I got black and blues like Alabama. It's not great. It is what it is. You still have Cincinnati and Navy live right now, 14-7, Navy leads. SMU, Arizona still to come in the Holiday Bowl. And then I think appropriately, a terrible bowl season finishes up with a 5-7 Mississippi State playing against Wake Forest. It's not good. It is what it is. People might think, oh, you'd be saying nicer things if you were, 70% in bowl season. I don't really think I would. These games have just not been appealing. It's not. They've not grabbed my full attention. I know you got college football writers talking about the The numbers are up. Okay, I'm not saying nobody's watching. We've watched, we've bet. But bowl season, I've had enough. I've had enough. Best bets will feature from our team inside the bowl game, so you will still have some juice there. I am quite intrigued, though, by your college basketball slate tonight. We have two ranked versus ranked battles inside the Big Ten. It starts in Michigan as the number 2 Wolverines host 24 USC. USC, not a great strength of schedule. That and Michigan's just overall dominance has this as a 20-point spread. Michigan feels like they score 100 on a nightly basis. This total sitting in over 170. We're going to break this game down, try and go through the different options that you have. And then it's Nebraska versus Michigan State. We will be involved with that game as well. Nebraska tries to stay unbeaten, a perfect 13-0, 2-0 to start Big Ten play. You'll also see Gonzaga, Iowa State, and Louisville as far as ranked action goes if you are looking to bet on the college basketball board tonight, which I know I am. If you're looking to bet the NBA tonight, well, you've got a full menu. But you are stepping over landmines, left, right, and center. You have a Thunder Warriors matchup that looked like it could be quite exciting. And then Golden State just tapped out of the whole thing. It's an interesting move. But an older squad on the front leg of a back-to-back who brings Utah in tomorrow clearly made the business decision. Give the Thunder the game. We'll take the Jazz game. That's what you just saw. There's no way. Hey, maybe we'll stun OKC. They won't show up locked in. No Steph. No Jimmy Butler. No Draymond Green. No interest whatsoever from Golden State in this one. The Nuggets injury report, by the way, what a banner night for primetime NBA action. Well, theirs isn't by choice. It's just unimaginable bad luck. Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Jonas Valanciunas, and, of course, Nikola Jokic. Those are 5 of the top 6 players on the Nuggets. 4 starters, legitimately, and the backup center in Jonas Valanciunas. That's great. And, by the way, none of those are short injuries. Gordon and Brown have been out for a while. Cam Johnson recently injured. Nikola Jokic went out against Miami. That was 2 games ago. And then in the following game, his backup in Jonas Valanciunas gets injured. They're a 13.5-point dog in Cleveland tonight. First non-Jokic game they were able to win in Toronto, 106-103. We'll talk a little bit about walking through this Denver Nuggets January that projects to have no Nikola Jokic in it, and how you bet this team, where you can trust and where you cannot. Other spots on the NBA board: Lakers late night host the Memphis Grizzlies. Knicks are going to host the Trae Youngless Hawks, which has been the better version of the Atlanta Hawks this season. We will continue to follow this action. As far as things that need to be reset, refound, well, you did button up round number 2 of the college football playoff yesterday. Again, if we're going to be mean to bowl season, we can be just as mean to the college football playoff. It was mostly bad. It is what it is. I know a lot of people hear that. They get defensive over college football. I'm not saying it's bad because of expansion. I'm pro-expansion. It's just bad. You get, I think in the history of the 12-team CFP, there are 3 games, maybe 4, that are within single digits. It's remarkable. So far, the recipe to getting a great CFP game this year has been the 2 times the SEC went head-to-head. And it's not like the SEC's had a great college football playoff. I'm not saying that to say that the SEC is the best conference in the world. It is, but that's fine. I'm just saying, it's been a lot. And I'll add this, and we can expand on this throughout our show here on this Friday. There's a number of different elements from the college football playoff that I do want to attack. 12-team format's dead. Done. You'll never see it again. They're kicking around a 16-team or a 24-team. I think the 24-team is also done because the buys now look like poison. We talked about this for a while with Major League Baseball. Yankees-Dodgers 2 years ago was the final straw. If that wasn't the World Series matchup, they were going to make a change. And it was. So they left it. And it seems like it's fine-ish now, I think. But the reality for the college football playoff is a 1-7 straight-up record for teams who got the advantage of being off by. And by the way, some of that's coincidental because you had Boise and Arizona State getting byes in the first round of it, but they realized that was ridiculous, and it's why they changed the format right away. But then this year for Georgia and Ohio State to lose, it's just gone. And in Notre Dame being left out, it's done. The 12-team playoff is done. Which begs the question, are we going to a 16-team with conference championship games or without? Fingers crossed without. Tired of wasting time with games that absolutely mean zero. And by the way, they told us that when they left Alabama in the college football playoff. Of course, we will also put our eyes on NFL Week 18. We have our Friday 5 for you. We had tomorrow's game between Tampa Bay and Carolina. Not a win-and-in situation. That is because the Bucs have just fumbled this all so poorly that they also need help from the Atlanta Falcons. Late night, the battle for the number 1 seed in the NFC, the Niners and the Seahawks, which will be a ton of fun to break down. What we are seeing right now for the Sunday slate. Who's trying? Who's not? Who should? Who won't? We'll break that all down for you. But we dive into the top of the Big Ten. Ranked battles tonight, best bets, everything that you need after the break. We're live right here on Game Time Decisions.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game Time Decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, you look at it, he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there?
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live. Only on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on SportsGrid. Great to have you on this Friday night. And we've got plenty to go through here, but I really believe that you're going to start to see this shift towards the college basketball slate. It starts tonight with a ranked matchup inside both windows of the Big Ten. Michigan against USC. Michigan State goes to Nebraska. Tomorrow, you've got great college basketball on throughout the slate as well. Now, I want to just kind of dive into both of these spots here. It is worth looking at the Big Ten regular season winner odds to get a sense of how much the books have shifted towards Michigan, how impressed they have been by Michigan. Because This is a conference that had a preseason favorite to win the national championship. It just wasn't Michigan. It was Purdue. The Michigan Wolverines at 12-0 are your number one team on KenPom with distance between them and Arizona. And even more distance between them and Purdue, who still actually, though, check in as one of the 5 best teams right now on KenPom. The Wolverines, by the way, being 2-0 in Big Ten play, okay, sure. But it's not as if Purdue isn't also 2-0. So is Sparty. We know the pedigree of Izzo. It's also reflected in the spread tonight, though. Michigan is playing a top 25 team in USC, and the number is just monstrous, right? The expectations from the books is not a question of whether or not you're going to see Michigan upset in the opening of play here. It's whether or not this game is even competitive. Your most up-to-date numbers right now are between 22.5 and 23.5 from what I can see as far as this spread goes between Michigan and USC. I ultimately couldn't get to either side of that number. I really was hoping we were going to get an opportunity to bet on some either Elliott Cadeau props or Yaxel Lendenborg, but the menus just aren't as expansive, perhaps because it is still somewhat earlier. I do think the Michigan team total is in range. It was, I think, 97.5. They should score 100. They score 100, it feels like, every single game. But right now, the books are playing it a little bit closer to the vest, in my opinion. Again, Yaxel Lendenborg and Elliott Cadeau jump off the page because the one time we saw this team play what looked like a full workload of minutes, it was Yax playing around 37 and Cadeau playing into the 30s against Maryland. Now, it was because it was a really close game at half and ended up still being one of their, usual 20-point blowouts, but that's what we saw. Again, I don't mind a look, but I want to get involved with Nebraska-Michigan State because this is a really fun battle where you have this unbeaten Nebraska team checking in at 13. It shows that there is not just hesitancy, but also I would say a surprise from the books that you have right now, this Nebraska team as good as they are. This was certainly not what was anticipated from the Cornhuskers, and it's been impressive. What's interesting for Nebraska, though, is this is not about being elite on one side of the ball. They're actually a pretty well-balanced group, Nebraska. They have a strong offense that right now grades out as top 40 in the country, and a strong defense that grades out top 30 in the country. But again, not elite on either side. The Michigan Wolverines have one of the 10 best defenses in the country. And I think their nasty nature, if you will, could really throw Nebraska off in this basketball game. Nebraska, again, part of the reason why their 13-0 record hasn't yielded a higher ranking is it's not come against the best competition you've ever seen. It just hasn't, flatly. They do have the win at Illinois, and that was the main perception changer. They went and played one of the 25 best teams in the country on the road and got a statement victory there, 83-81. Illinois is a more up-tempo, high-octane offense. I think Michigan is just such a stark difference for Nebraska that I'm going to play them on the money line at plus 114. I believe the number was that was best available, and I think they go out there and get the job done here in this game and maybe start to inch up a little bit on the numbers that we see on the Michigan Wolverines to win this conference. I think that is on the board right now. I will reference the rest of your college basketball ranked action here on this Friday night. In the ACC, Louisville goes to Stanford. Louisville still without Mikal Brown, getting the job done. You'll remember as we were looking for a little bit of value inside the Wooden Award market, which is kind of really shifted very quickly to Duke's Boozer. I was happy to take a chance on Mikal Brown. It was pretty quickly followed with an injury, though. It is what it is. A 40-1 ticket. It's done. But his absence so far not massively impacting Louisville while I think that's a positive sign, it's not something I want to bet on night in, night out. They're here on the second leg of a West Coast trip. I think that's baked into the number. Stanford is right now catching as many points as Cal did. Cal's probably a tick better. So I think this is a game you pop away from. Iowa State, West Virginia, I think is a game worth getting involved with. I played over 142.5 in this game. I think that you just have two styles that will mesh to get through what is a lower number. I know West Virginia is on the slower side, but when they step up in class, it's higher scoring games. It just is. And that's exactly what Iowa State is. I don't think Iowa State in any way is going to be thrown by slower pace. Think about their best victory, which is the win at Purdue. I think you can see the Cyclones into the 80s, but I think West Virginia can come along for the ride. Iowa State played that matchup against Iowa, and I know that was a super low-scoring game. That was a game that we actually were involved with. We played Iowa. Remember it fondly. They've had moments where they've played in lower-scoring games, but that can get testy. And here in Big 12 play, I think they look to run, and they're a quicker team. So I think over 142.5. Gonzaga, Seattle, I'm going to be involved with, but our GTD State University tonight, little hoop-centric. So we will get to that just a little bit later. Let's talk about some of the other key items on the slate tonight, focusing in on the NBA after the break, right here on Game Time Decisions.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We are live on a Friday night. Let's take a look now at some of the other key spots on this slate. I know the through-and-through hockey bettors will be betting the Winter Classic. We've touched on that already. I played under 5.5, Panthers-Rangers. We're going to have Tom Vecchio join the show later. We'll get some extra insight from him as far as the Winter Classic goes. I think people will be looking to bet the NBA here on this Friday night. The two primetime games, it's Cavs-Nuggets, it's Thunder-Warriors. It's a tough night as far as the injuries go. But they're for very different reasons. Now, all of this will kind of get shoved together. We can kind of take this any way you want. But I just think it is important to look at what Denver is facing, because this is a team you guys certainly will realize booked as right now top 3 odds to win an NBA championship. Right now. That's where Denver is. But I think that these injuries for the Nuggets they could be as damaging to the rest of the West as it is to Denver. If you're the Nuggets, your dream scenario is to be the 2 seed. That means the earliest you have to play OKC is a conference finals, and who knows, by some chance, if somebody knocks them out, not only do you not have to play them, you get home court, right? And heck, if you are Denver and you actually go and make it out of the West, well, the top of the East is catchable. Maybe you'll have home court there, right? So this throws that off, and that is damaging for Denver. Where it also hurts the Nuggets, though, or where it hurts, I guess, everybody else, is you now have no gauge on where Nikola Jokic is going to be seated and the rest of this Nuggets team come playoff time. I do not think this is a group who will miss out on the playoffs. If you look at their January stretch, they are right now in the middle of an East Coast trip. They go to Cleveland tonight. It's followed by playing Brooklyn, Philly, and Boston. I don't think they get shut out there in terms of grabbing a victory. I don't think they'll get shut out. They then are back home for most of the rest of this month. Their home games in January: Atlanta, Milwaukee, Washington, Charlotte, Lakers, Pistons, Nets, Clippers. It's manageable. There's a trip to Washington in there as well. New Orleans, Dallas, Memphis, Milwaukee. It's manageable. Now, the injuries have cost Denver the opportunity to dominate January, right, and establish themselves as a 2 seed. If we end up with a 6 seed Nuggets, nightmare for the 3. If we end up with a 4-5 Denver, if they make it out, if you're OKC, that's just, you're not playing this team in the second round. That's a nightmare. Doesn't mean you can't beat them, but it's just the goal, the hope is that you are playing a team true to their seed line, and it now feels almost a certainty with Jokic out and all of these other guys behind him, Jonas Valanciunas, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson. You are wildly up against it in that capacity. You do have a second game which looks just as ugly, which is OKC Golden State, and the Warriors punting it because it's on the front end of a back-to-back is, to me, just something that if Adam Silver doesn't like it, it's on him. And he should address the back-to-back situation that we have in this league. This game, though, will feature my best bet tonight. Give me Chet Holmgren over 26.5 points plus rebounds. Chet without Isaiah Hartenstein over that number in 7 of 9 games. Chet's in a bounce-back spot offensively. I really like the prop. Chris is going to play the over in the Holiday Bowl. That's Arizona SMU, 51.5. Yarnell's going to back Ymir Knight anytime touchdown in that game at 3-1. So it gives you a little bit of extra juice if you want to get on this college football bowl board. As far as your other bowl game, not featured there, you late night will have Wake Forest versus Mississippi State. Miss State, a 5-7 team, buttoning up bowl season. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's where we are. Here's where we're going to the biggest game this weekend. On Sunday, the Steelers and the Ravens. And what we can expect from Baltimore, who have been given the very important word that Lamar Jackson is a full go. Cordell Woodland stops by to help us get a sense of everything going on with the Baltimore Ravens. After the break, right here, it's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
it's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Here on Game Time Decisions, we're now joined by Cordell Woodland, who we've been lucky to check in with a few times during this Baltimore Ravens season. He does an excellent job covering all things Baltimore sports. And Cordell, it's so funny because through various points, I think, of being able to talk to you, the AFC North coming down to Week 18, Ravens-Steelers, wouldn't be that surprising. But how things looked going into Week 17, it is a little shocking that we got here. Tyler Huntley had to go into Lambeau and lead the Ravens to a victory, and then the Steelers had to drop a game in Cleveland to the Browns. I'm just curious, your own surprise and maybe the sense around Baltimore that they are here in Week 18 with an opportunity to win the AFC North.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because at the start of the year, I think when you looked at the schedule and you saw Ravens in Pittsburgh Week 18, that game didn't have a set date or time just yet. You kind of had a feeling that it would probably end up resulting in that game being for the AFC North title. Now, you get to the season and you see the way that both the season has gone for both of these teams. At various points, I'm sure there were fans wondering if either of these teams would have an opportunity to play for the division at this stage of the season. But that's the NFL, man. I mean, John Harbaugh always says it's a week-to-week league, and he is very right about that. Because just a couple of weeks ago, the Ravens, their season was on life support, and they needed a loss for Pittsburgh and Cleveland to even make this game meaningful. Yeah. And they had to win in Green Bay with their backup quarterback, like you mentioned. I mean, it's been a very weird year for both teams. But I do, in a sense, think it's poetic that it ends in Week 18 on Sunday Night Football, where the two best teams in the division are playing for the division crown.
And you end up with Lamar Jackson versus Aaron Rodgers, that is box office. There was a brief moment we wondered if it was going to be Tyler Huntley versus Aaron Rodgers. Lamar is off the injury report. Cordell, as far as you can tell, how healthy is Lamar Jackson going into Sunday Night Football?
Well, look, we spoke to Lamar on Thursday, and he said he's feeling good. He actually said that he started to feel better from that back injury. He had a back contusion, which Harbaugh called a severe back contusion. That obviously kept him out of the Green Bay game and knocked him out of the Patriots game. But Lamar said he started to feel better around Sunday or Monday of this past Sunday or Monday. So that's pretty good. And look, this is the first time Lamar Jackson has practiced the entire week since I think before the Minnesota game, which was in the middle of the season. So it's been a unique journey for Lamar. Look, I don't think Lamar is 100%. I don't think he will be 100% this season. He's had too many lower body injuries, now the back problems. But I do think Lamar is at the point now to where, he can play, and maybe he can't go out there and be vintage 2-time MVP Lamar. But I am still one of those people that thinks an 80 to 85% Lamar Jackson is still better than the alternative. I think he'll be able to do enough to lead them to a victory if that is the case.
The fascinating stuff of it all, and this is just football. Maybe Lamar brings out more of it, but any team who gets maybe just 2 good wins with a backup quarterback, people are like, they did it with Cooper Rush and Dak. It just, people kind of can't help themselves. I think, Cordell, maybe to me, why some of that has been a little bit louder is there are people wondering how Lamar Jackson feels about the Ravens, maybe Coach Harbaugh, just this whole situation. Do you think we are headed for a newsworthy, headline-grabbing offseason in Baltimore, or is this much to do about nothing?
I think, well, at the end of the day, when you talk about Lamar, if this is specifically, if you're talking about headlines surrounding him, probably not. Realistically, no. Lamar has a no trade clause in his contract. So all the talk about could Lamar be traded and would the Ravens take 3 first-round picks, there's a lot that goes into that. As much as Lamar is a Florida guy, I think that Lamar wants to be a Dolphin. It's not like he grew up a Dolphins fan. He grew up a Cowboys fan. So this whole notion that he has like an allegiance to Miami, he doesn't. But if you're the Ravens, there are multiple ramifications that come by trading a Lamar Jackson. The on-the-field product is obvious. He is, in my opinion, a 1%er in terms of the quarterback position and really in terms of football players in the NFL when he's at his best. That said, you're not upgrading. You're not upgrading there. Any first-round picks you get, Lamar Jackson's history tells you that those picks won't be good first-round picks because all he does is win in the regular season. The Ravens know there's no upgrade from Lamar. You can look at college football. There's no quarterback coming out in the next 2 to 3 years that's going to give you what Lamar Jackson gives you. And that's just the football aspect. I haven't even touched on the cultural aspect of what it would mean to the city of Baltimore to trade Lamar Jackson. Lamar is a rock star in Baltimore. He is if you go to training camp, you don't have to see Lamar Jackson come out. You hear Lamar Jackson come out. There is a certain area of Baltimore that would be devastated if Lamar Jackson was to be traded out of the city. I think the Ravens know that. I would be highly surprised if Lamar Jackson isn't a Baltimore Raven next season.
Look, I think it's incredible insight, and there is a part of me that has wondered if we're going to look back on some of these conversations in mid-February and be like, I can't believe that was actually happening as the Ravens win a Lombardi trophy. I really do believe that is on the board. If this team's able to handle business in Week 18, the bracket, it looks like it might shake their way. Not having to play a Buffalo in round number 1 is certainly the expectation of it all. The interesting thing, Cordell, and I want to get your insight on, is the questions around this team have not only been offensive Lamar's availability. It's been just a very weird year for the defense. There's been a few weeks where you feel good about it, and a few weeks where it looks like the worst in football. Heading into Week 18, how do you assess this Ravens defense?
Inconsistent at best. At best. I mean, you get a Ravens defense that a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, goes to Cincinnati, shuts them out after just 2 weeks before that, getting embarrassed at home on Thanksgiving night by that same Bengals team in Joe Burrow's first game back. This is a Ravens defense that let Aaron Rodgers and that offense throw the ball all over the field, and they haven't been able to push the ball down the field all year. So I don't know what to expect from this Ravens defense. I think that they'll fight, but it just hasn't been a consistent defense. They have their flaws. Pass rush is their biggest flaw. They can't get after the quarterback, no matter who it is, no matter how immobile they are, and that impacts the secondary because now the ball gets thrown on the back end all game. So look, this Pittsburgh offense is without DK Metcalf. They're without Darnell Washington. If Kenneth Gainwell is going to win this game for them, God bless them. But I just don't think that they have enough firepower to put up the points necessary in this game, despite how bad the Ravens defense has looked this year.
Yeah, I think that is incredibly fair. I tend to agree. They've also, though, Cordell, given me, a little guff in the back because preseason I was really in on Cincinnati. I don't know, at this point, maybe 96 hours ago, Pittsburgh I was starting to believe in. But now I'm eyeing up this Ravens team, and it feels like a run could really be theirs. I'm excited to watch it all play out. I hope we get to talk some Ravens playoff football. We appreciate checking in as always.
Yeah, man, appreciate you having me.
And a happy new year. Excellent as always from Cordell Woodland. This Baltimore Ravens season has been probably the roller coaster of the NFL season. We'll see if it is still on its way up or not. We still have plenty to come here. It is Game Time Decisions. Bringing in the new year. We're live with you right here on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, welcome back. Game Time Decisions here on a Friday night. Great stuff, as always, from Cordell, just to get a chance to get really what he's thinking around this Baltimore Ravens group here. That is a huge game on Sunday night, which will determine the 4 seed in the AFC. So it's not just getting in. It is getting that home playoff game. It also, I think, has become even more attractive due to the projected absence from the Buffalo Bills in that slot. I think that's just something to keep your eyes on a little bit there, because Buffalo, the Texans need to win because if the Jags lose, Houston actually will win that division. I think that's just the idea there a little bit to see it. It's just very unlikely Buffalo gets up to the 5. If they do, they do, and that becomes fascinating. But I'm very interested to see how that all plays out. We all are, I know. We watched how the college football playoff played out yesterday, and without a shadow of a doubt, for me, the biggest thing is the fact that we saw the death of the 12-team playoff. This is a format that, when they initially came out with it, the first day, you could tell it was horrible. Horrible. The auto buys for conference champions was a mess. You always knew it would be, and it blew up in their face year number 1. But it blew up so badly, they made immediate changes because there was just no way they were going to run that out again. So we then ended up saying, okay, hopefully this is better. And then what they ended up with this year in terms of the college football playoff were more issues. The ACC has 2 years in a row not had a strong champion. Duke did not make it this year. They won the conference title. Clemson made it as an automatic bid. They were not one of the 12 best teams in the country. And the mess that the ACC makes out of it was on full display, because then you ended up with 2 G5 teams getting in. Then all of a sudden you left out Notre Dame, and usually most people will say, well, if a team is on the cut line, they probably weren't good enough to go on a run. No way anybody is insane enough to watch these games and think that Notre Dame wasn't capable of going on a run. I've watched, personally, one team where you're like, okay, they're better than Notre Dame. One, during the college football playoff. And that all was going to get it closer and closer and closer. But now that you pretty much have enough evidence to say, yeah, the super buys, because they're not normal bye weeks, right? You went out there and saw Texas Tech playing for the first time since December 6th. Might as well be week 1. And that all gives us everything that they need. Now, pretty much everybody wants a 16-team playoff. The Big Ten is interested in a 24-team playoff with automatic qualifiers due to league standings. The problem with the 24-team playoff, they want to get rid of conference championship games, which I like. It's just going to have buys. And they're not going to do that because the buy stuff is now going to loom large. I think next year we get to a 16-team playoff. I do not imagine there's enough momentum to cancel conference championship games. There should be. And I'll add this, and I'll just say this quickly. I'm not I hate the G5 guy, but if it's a 16-team playoff, we don't need automatic berths. Be one of the 16 best teams. Now, you could say the onus is on the committee to rank these teams appropriately. I think this year JMU was deserving of a top 16 slot. Truly. Regardless of the result of Oregon, we don't need automatic bids. The one team, though, who was able to face the bye and it not face them at all was Indiana. Because they didn't just beat Alabama. They did whatever they wanted. 38-3. All of the big names scored. Black, Hemby, Becker, Cooper, Surratt. And Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, had more touchdown passes than incompletions. And this, for me, was the Fernando Mendoza goes to a different category game. I understand he was good in the Big Ten championship game. He wasn't outrageous. Quite frankly, they don't really let Mendoza, for my liking, throw enough. They have a really, really good wide receiver core, and he is the real deal. I know that this is a down Bama team. Kane Womack is overrated. Also, flatly, Bama didn't belong in the playoff. They've looked like garbage for 2 months now, and it was bad that they were let in. Again, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, it's pretty... All the evidence is there, though, quite frankly. I mean, all the evidence is there. But for me, Mendoza solidified he is QB1. I think that we see he's a Heisman Trophy winner on a national championship favorite. So the only thing that I believe could get in Fernando Mendoza's way of being the first overall pick is quarterback doesn't go. If you look in the last 11 years, only twice has the first pick I believe it's 11 years, not been quarterback. It was edge rusher each time. Myles Garrett once, Travon Walker the second. If it was Aiden Hutchinson, it wouldn't feel as bad as it was. Shout out the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the really interesting thing, though, is we kind of look through the odds. I have no problem with Dante Moore being given the second best odds. I'd rather, if I were, Kalshi protect against QB2, somehow a team falling absolutely in love and being enamored. I think we are, though, in a spot where the actual biggest threat to Mendoza's first overall pick is the team at 1, even including the Raiders, saying, you know what? We're really far away, and there is a A++ special edge rusher on the board. Not Arvell Reese. Reuben Bain Jr. is having one of those runs. He's been awesome all year from Miami, and it's been on display all playoffs long. Still, Mendoza's slot to lose. Let's get your best bets, everything you need before the 7 o'clock window tips off after the break.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, live right here on SportsGrid on a Friday night. Kevin Walsh with you. We've been here now for 55 minutes, just in case you're just checking in. We are back to 2 hours now on Game Time Decisions. We're excited about it. And we've gone through a few of the main options already. Live right now, you have Navy and Cincinnati in the Liberty Bowl. Navy up 21-7. Cincinnati in the news today because their former quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, is now seen as the number one player in the portal at the quarterback position, has ties and suitors in Texas Tech. However, LSU wants to get into the race, and if that's the guy that Lane Kiffin is all eyes on. I don't know. Feels a little hard to believe that he doesn't end up at LSU. That's my read on the situation. I personally am not as sold as everybody else on Sorsby, but time will tell in that matter. What is coming up here at 7 o'clock? Well, as far as the show goes, we've got Tom Vecchio joining us to go through some of the action, not just tonight, but this weekend. We're going to get NFL insider Adam Kaplan to give us a little bit of insight on all the news around the National Football League. We'll see if there's any more clarity around some of the teams who are in and who are out as far as trying. And then, of course, our guy Brady Cannon will join us, and we'll get the latest from him as far as how he's looking to bet Week 18. I think there's going to be a lot of fun spots to actually dive in on. I don't mind a little bit of the muck. I will say this as somebody who tapped out a bowl season after Rice, Texas State. It does prep you a little bit to bet Week 18. It's like, what are we going to do with these games? I don't know. It's no different than North Texas, San Diego State, right? Like, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. So at 7 o'clock on the college basketball board, USC and Michigan is where most eyes will be. The easy-to-argue best team in college basketball, the national championship favorite, half the price of the next closest team, the top team on KenPom, is a 20-plus point favorite here against the Trojans. I think it's more than acceptable to be playing a Michigan team total in this game, as they have scored 100 more times than not, I think, now this season. Let's see, how many is that? 3, 5, 6, 7, 7 of 12 this year. They've scored 100 points. You need just under that, I think, to get to their team total in this game. USC runs a little bit. We maybe can attack this game live, not playing it pregame. You expect Yaxel Lendenborg and Elliot Cadeau to certainly handle their business here in this matchup against Chad Baker-Mazara and USC. In the NBA, there's 2 7 o'clock tips. It starts in Washington as the Wizards will be hosting the Nets as a 3.5-point favorite. Shout out Washington. And then an important update, by the way, Pacers Spurs. And I'm glad we actually have the time to do this here. So San Antonio, 4.5, 5.5-point favorite against the Pacers. You might say, it looks a little light. Maybe you missed it. Victor Wembanyama out injured. Wemby got banged up against the Knicks on New Year's Eve. Now, an MRI came back clean, but it's going to cost Wemby tonight's game, maybe a few more. And just like I had talked about weeks, if not months ago, when Wemby first went down, he's not winning Defensive Player of the Year. He's not going to get close to that games requirement. Wemby is now off the board at most sports books to win DPOY, and Chet Holmgren finds himself at minus 195. Now, frustrating for those who are Case and Wallace respecters, because he's now backwards to 75 to 1. I'll say, to me, when I look at the way the market is treating this right now, it's still very big man centric. Like Rudy Gobert 15 to 1, I mean, just has no chance to win this award. Just none. I think what becomes very interesting is, and this is why I still think there is life for Case and Wallace in this race. Once everyone acknowledges that the award cannot go to Wemby, and they start to talk through who gets the most credit for OKC's defense, does Chet win that debate? He might, but I think the fact that I'm even asking it still shows that his minus 195 live price is a little off base. I think just a little bit. Case and Wallace still a higher defensive box score plus minus and defensive win shares compared to Chet Holmgren, but still the bigger thing, for the third year in a row where it looked like Wemby was obviously going to win DPOY, he is not going to win DPOY. We're joined by Tom Vecchio after the break on SportsGrid.
it's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. Doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back to the right here. It is Game Time Decisions. We are live on a Friday night. We've got our guy Tom Vecchio here. Tom, it is great to see you. A happy New Year, my friend. We're not doing New Year's resolutions on the show tonight. Probably going to do them Tuesday, if I had to guess. That's my working idea, at least. Is that too late, Tom, to do New Year's resolutions?
No. I mean, any time's a good time to make a change. You want to – listen, I say Happy New Year's to people all the way up until May. If it's the first time that I've seen them.
You don't. No, you don't.
Yes, I
do.
Don't say
it until
May.
I do.
Yes,
May?
I do. It's May. It's a bit from Curb Your Enthusiasm, a show I do not watch, but I saw an episode at my brother's house, and I turned it into a shtick. So I will say Happy New Year's up until the first time I see them in person. If I don't see you till May, I'm going to say Happy New Year.
What if it's your first time meeting someone?
I'll do it because it's funny, and it breaks the awkwardness.
Interesting. All right, there. Tom Vecchio's New Year's resolution: tell even more people Happy New Year, which you have to respect. Tom, speaking of respect, I showed a little bit to the Winter Classic tonight. I bet this game. Hey, look, no one's happy about the Winter Classic. I bet under 5.5. You can tell me it's bad. It's all good. What do you like in this game?
The direct opposite, over 5.5 in this game. The one thing I would be worried about, or I think theoretically I'm always worried about in these circumstances, is the actual quality of the ice. Considering that they are opening the roof at Lone Depot Park in Miami, where this game is taking place inside, outside, winter, or whatever you want to call it. But as much as I want to say like this should be a good game between two good teams, like this also is a spectacle for the league. Like, let's get out there, let's get up and down the ice, let's score some goals, let's have some fun. And that's really what we should be seeing. I'm expecting the Rangers, let's call it 2 goals from them, and the Panthers at least 3, if not pushing to 4.
So you like the over in this game. Hey, listen, that's fine. Not our first time being on the other side. It happens. It is what it is. You'll have to text me the final if I'm being totally honest. Now, something just came across my desk that leans into some of the stuff I was going to talk about with Tom anyway, so let's just get right to this. The latest from ESPN is that regardless of the team's playoff seeding, Sean McVay will have Rams starters playing on Sunday. I do not understand this at all. Now, if the seeding is up for grabs, which, by the way, is dependent on the results Saturday, meaning the Rams will know whether or not. If Seattle, this is insane. If Seattle loses, the Rams are locked into the 6. If Seattle wins, then the Rams have to win to get up to the 5. And I think that is valuable.
Oh, yeah.
But, Tom, you're telling if the Niners win, why are the Rams playing starters week 18 against Arizona locked as the 6?
So there was a quote from McVay earlier throughout the week. I don't remember the exact date. I don't remember it verbatim, but he was saying something alluding to the fact that they need to play better football. Like they need to get they need to right the ship. It was a disgusting effort versus the Falcons on Monday night. So part of that is you don't want to go into the playoffs on a low note. And even if they play the starters a half, 3/4, whatever it is, obviously dependent on the results from Saturday, you need the momentum. You need at least some positive momentum because I don't expect Devontae to play. He was limited in practice, not seen participating, whatever this nonsense is that we saw earlier today, the reports. But if he doesn't play this week, okay. But then you have none of the starters playing. Now you're coming off of essentially a dead stop, and now you have to hit the ground running at the most important time of the year. At least give us 2 or 3 quarters. That I can understand.
I don't. I hate it.
Because it's not as if, and we talked about this before, they could have had the bye. If you went to the bye, you're cruising, we have home field, we have this, we're looking good, we secured the home field. That's because we're amazing. They're backing themselves into the spot right now. And I understand that the 5 seed playing Carolina or Tampa is so much better than playing Philly potentially, right? That's what we're talking about here. You want to play Carolina.
Yeah, you want to play the 5 seed. So let's just call it. Am I to believe? So they're favored to win. Seattle's favored to win. So the likely. I wonder if. Look, I don't think this is good for the Rams. I wonder if McVay is tipping his hand a little bit as to who he thinks is going to win Saturday. Because I do think what is worrying is if you tell your guys, hey, I don't know if we're going to play or not. It depends what happens Saturday. And then they're up until, I guess West Coast time or, but they're up until midnight watching this game trying to figure out if they're going to play or not, right? And it's a half in, half out measure. And that's probably the little bit of the real answer. But I'll just say if you end up in a situation where the Rams play Week 18, a full game against Arizona, and the Eagles have rested their starters and are basically off a bye in Philly, that's enough, in my opinion, Tom, to take a 1.5 Rams line and make it a 1.5 Eagles line.
Yeah, I saw some of those hypothetical lines earlier today, and I saw Philly catching a 1.5, and I was like, listen, if that's going to be the case, I would probably just bet Philly on the money line, and whatever happens, happens. But if you're going to give me a team with home field advantage coming off of theoretical rest, as you're pointing out, I'll just take the money line at that point. And whatever happens, happens. So be it. If you would have covered the 1.5 if they lose the game 21-20 or something, I'll just take the money line at that point.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I do wonder if any degree is a MVP extra push for Stafford.
The games are happening at the same time, right? May's playing in the 4 p.m. window, 4:25, whatever it is. Yeah. They still the Pats actually have real motivation to play and win. They can move up, they can move down. They don't want to move down. So Drake May putting up a big performance, I think secures his spot. And then what would Stafford have to do to leapfrog him?
So I don't think the odds right now are. How do I say this? I don't agree with the odds. Not enough to bet Stafford. I don't think Drake May is actually minus 340 to win this. I don't think right now the voting split is that heavy towards Drake May, in my opinion.
I would agree with that, like essentially wholeheartedly. I think it's there just because they don't want to hang a close to even money number because it's a risk play knowing that he's playing the Dolphins. And him having 3 touchdowns at halftime is very much on the table for the Pats. Pats team totals 14.5 in the first half, which I do like, over 14.5. And then at that point, he's already a step ahead, and now he's 2 steps ahead, and Stafford can't come back from this in half of play versus the Cardinals. I think it's a risk aversion move from the books.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, right? Like, I don't blame the books for the number, but I
also don't agree with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's Stafford. Look, I know that this stuff isn't the end-all, be-all, but Stafford throwing like 15 more touchdown passes could absolutely, like, that's just going to look crazy. Now, the one thing is, and I've said this a lot, you usually have to be the 1 seed, or, in this Drake May's case, the 2 seed. Where I think Stafford will get some grace, and we're going to get into more Week 18 with Tom after the break, where I think Stafford will get some grace is the Rams' perception. And it's a perception that I push back on, but people think the Rams are the best team in football. And even if they are 6th in the NFC, they're not the 6th best team in the conference. That everybody could agree on. I think it's really interesting. Some other spots we'll get into after the break, live here on a Friday night. We're on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, you look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back at the right here on SportsGrid. Tom, we're going through some of the options, looks, Week 18 within this NFL slate. I'm curious look, and by the way, I understand that the big games, but when I say they're obvious, it's about who you like, right? I'm talking about the mud, Tom, right? Although I guess I'm running the risk here that you're going to tell me you don't bet Week 18. That's not a thing, is it?
Easy. Kevin, when we did the NBA show to close out the season,
that's right.
I was betting on players to alt them up to 20, 25, do this, that, the other thing. So I have 2 looks right now, or 3 looks, I should say. One is in the 49ers game, didn't mention it. CMC over 46.5 receiving yards. The Seahawks have allowed the 6th most receiving yards to opposing running backs, sitting at 601 this season. If you look at the end of the Seahawks schedule, they played Carolina. Bryce Young threw for 86 yards. They played the Rams in that crazy Thursday night game. They played the Colts with Phil Rivers. They played Atlanta, and then they played Minnesota with Max Brosmer. Horrible offenses outside of the Rams, and they still are in the bottom 6 of the league for the most. So if they played competent offenses, they would be much worse than they currently are. So I like that. Number 2, looking to Hollywood Brown and Terry McLaurin for touchdowns. These are incentive-based. I understand that. And betting into incentives and contracts, those sorts of things, we're never going to be getting amazing numbers, except for touchdown props, Kev. Hollywood Brown is plus 340 for a touchdown.
So can I stick on CMC actually for a second? I'm glad you brought him up. So JSN has been in this spot to an OPOY all year long, which can then make it difficult to think, he's obviously going to win it. But, like, Christian McCaffrey feels like an MVP candidate. If the Niners beat the Seahawks, are you sure JSN wins OPOY and not Christian McCaffrey?
No. So McCaffrey right now, he needs 110 receiving yards to be the first player in NFL history to have 2 1,000 yard seasons. He's done it before. Other players have done it, but he would be the first to do it twice. So, and that's 110 receiving yards. So I like him over 46.5. If he were to get to 46.5, break that 110, and they win the game, that's a pretty good case for him.
It's more than a good case. Like, you would think it would be the Niners are plus 116 to win the game. He's 3-1 to win OPOY. JSN's not. So this is the thing about, hey, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 1,800 receiving yards. Oh my gosh, what a season. But in season, he was getting like 2-1 to break the record.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not saying it's not impressive, but it's beatable, I think. I think JSN finishing, second in catches, first in yards, and fifth in touchdowns versus Christian McCaffrey, let's call it what it is, leading the Niners to a 1 seat, right? I don't know. Shanahan's probably going to win Coach of the Year. It's a little interesting to me, just the way that number's kind of moved here. Are you going to – so you mentioned also the McCaffrey benchmark. I don't want to spoil it, but, Tom, I know the Bears need to win the game to keep the 2 seed. I refuse to believe they don't get Caleb Williams to 4,000. There's no way.
Right. He needs 260, 270, somewhere around there.
Oh, maybe he made it a little bit closer after that game. I'll double check. Go ahead, Mo.
Right. It's in that 260, 270 range, but that. Listen, I checked his prop before. It's 236.5, 246.5, whatever it is for his yardage. This is a spot that I am willing to lean into it a little bit and say, let's alt him up a little. Let's alt him to 275. Them securing a playoff spot, turning around the franchise, the turnaround season, the offense, and him breaking it. There's no other way to build better momentum. Even if they lose in the first round, so be it. But there are clear building blocks on that team now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they feel great about that, and I think there's certainly. Look, the reality is, if Caleb doesn't get there this year, maybe he'll get there next. But he's right there.
Yeah.
And I think there probably is something sweet about doing it against Detroit. Also, it's Detroit. They have a bad defense. So, I mean, that's all in range. Are there any other games, Tom, for Week 18 that you find yourself particularly interested in, where you think maybe you haven't figured it out just yet, but there could be some value?
Yeah, I was looking at this Cowboys game, and a lot of people saying, they're going to start Dak, but how long is he going to be out there? Dak is in line to win the passing title, and I know that's not a thing that's talked about a whole lot as it is for home runs or goals or scoring, whatever it is. But he can lead the league in yardage this year, and you call it a silver lining, call it what it is, but it's a very doable thing. And the Giants are not going to be trying to win this game after winning last week. So Dak playing a full game wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't considered Dak trying to hold off the passing title. I thought they would actually bench Dak for this game initially and just let Milton play, because they like Milton enough where maybe they would even want to showcase Milton. Dak has a season where he threw for 4,900. Is he going to chase that? Like, does Dak try and throw for 5,000 in this game? Like, I know you could argue those are arbitrary benchmarks, but they're also like, it only takes a really, really big. Nah, it's probably crazy, right? What's that, 518? Can Dak throw for 518?
No, that'll never happen. You would need that game to have 60 points in order for that to happen. I just don't see it. But
it's the Cowboys defense.
I mean, I don't trust the Giants.
Jackson Dart's a star.
He might be, and that job looks pretty good given the options that they have in offense. But him trying to secure the passing title, I think, is more realistic.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And he's already kind of in that catbird seat right now. So it'll be interesting to watch how that all develops there. And again, just kind of watching how Week 18 plays out. Tom, we appreciate it as always. Remind people, over tonight in the Winter Classic?
Over tonight, CMC over 46.5 receiving yards.
All right. Don't forget, I like the under in the Winter Classic. So the guy who watches and bets hockey all the time, or me. We're going to talk to NFL insider Adam Kaplan after the break. We're live right here on Game Time Decisions.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like, a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid on a Friday night. We're joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, appreciate you making some time here on a Friday night. I'm sure we'll be talking this weekend as well as we close out the NFL's regular season. I want to ask you to start about one of the I don't know who could have seen coming stories. maybe not that consequential, but Troy Aikman being an advisor throughout the Miami Dolphins GM process, that report also, they mentioned that Aikman has had GM aspirations, so it's interesting that the Dolphins are like, we don't want you to be the GM, but you can help us find a GM. Is there any idea if this is good for Mike McDaniel? Does it make any? What is going on in Miami?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing for Mike McDaniel because Troy's called his games before, so he knows what he's looking at. McDaniel's a really good play caller and schemer from the Shanahan tree. But as I told you a couple months ago, when there was speculation he was going to get fired, I said, I don't think so because the owner Steve Ross really likes Mike McDaniel. But getting to Troy Aikman, yeah, I know for a fact that he's always had an interest in personnel. Now, this is different because you're just going to be an advisor to a general manager search. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's kind of an odd thing, and he'll be able to still call games. And Dolphins are in the playoffs, so you don't have to worry about that conflict. There's, of course, the Tom Brady situation, which is even more fascinating, which we can talk about another time. But getting back to Troy, yeah, it's obviously uncommon to do it like this. But my belief was when I saw that ESPN story, I'm pretty certain he knows people who are involved with the Dolphins, whether it's Steve Ross or people who are connected with the organization. Because you just don't take this out of the blue. Why would you ask him? Obviously, he's got a relationship there, or he wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And the good thing, here's one thing, though, you should know. Troy sits in these production meetings. He talks not only to head coaches and players, obviously the top players from each team. He gets to know general managers. So he gets to know personnel people through his travels. So this is a good opportunity for Steve Ross to plug in to what Troy knows.
So this weekend, Cap, there are teams deciding, do we play, do we not? We have the reports coming out that the Rams will play. Regardless, they'll know before Saturday, or before Sunday, I should say, whether they need the game or not. Their loss to Atlanta not only removed their control to being the 5 seed out of their hands, but it really shifted the MVP odds that had been strongly in Stafford's favor for a while. I know you talked to, again, a lot of people around this league. I know you take some time to think about the NFL's MVP award. Do you think the shift towards Drake May in the odds is a little bit of an overreaction, or do you feel he's now grabbed control of this award with 1 week to go?
All right, so yes, just to be clear, the AP MVP award is regular season only, and I vote in 2 polls. One of them is the Pro Football Writers Association, which Kevin, I take a lot of pride in because it's not the AP poll isn't great, but it's much longer. The NFLPA, the Pro Football Writers Association poll. So I right now I am still leaning towards Matthew Stafford. Nobody's perfect. I mean, remember he had 28 passing touchdowns before he had his first pick. That's incredible. I mean, most improved player in the National Football League on offense, Drake May, no question about it. But I'm still leaning towards, not a huge lean, still to Stafford. May has kind of narrowed it, but we always have to put context. There's more of a passing team, the Rams. You've got, although they try to start with Kyron Williams, but we know with Stafford you're going to throw the ball a lot, and he's had a great season. With Drake May, he's just taken this big jump. I don't remember a second-year jump for a quarterback like this in a while, but I think it's real tight. Now, why did the odds move like they did? It's recency bias. I'm telling you, it's the MVP vote last year because of the second half Josh Allen put together. That's my problem with that thing. You've got to look at the totality of the season. That's recency bias is a big problem for these awards.
Without a doubt, Cap. I strongly agree. I think that's where, and I wonder how much some voters, if at all, find themselves influenced by the odds. Where if they just, it must be. Hey, if Drake's the big favorite, maybe that's what it's supposed to be. You've been doing it so long, obviously, you have your own thoughts on it. But I wonder if they're that group think, right, Cap? That's what people worry about.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll admit when I look, I know who I want to vote for, but because I have to do such a long list of awards, I do want to see just the what it looks like. But I rarely agree with what the odds makers say anyway, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. All right, we got a quick break here. We're back. More Game Time decisions. We are live on SportsGrid.
it's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, we're back with it right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. We're joined by NFL insider Adam Catlin. Cat, a lot of decisions being made. Again, who's going to play, who's not going to play. Can I start with what is this just super odd thing for tomorrow? And if you think in any way it could creep into the psyche of any of the four teams involved, Bucks, Panthers, Saints, Falcons. Yeah. Everybody thought it was going to be winning in Week 18. And then the Bucks lost to the Dolphins. And the Rams lose to the Falcons. And Tampa now, at home, booked as favorites, can win and still need help. Atlanta's, the injury report now is shiny. Chris Olave is out. Serious situation, it seems, but he's out. Like, this all just feels like such a mess now where we may end up with Tampa winning, and it doesn't even matter, Cap.
Yeah, Tampa, Kevin, when you look at their situation, this has been, I was telling Craig Mish this on Newswire, they're my most disappointing team. They are very talented. I know they have a number of injuries. Both starting corners are out for this game. That's a problem. But if you look at the home and road splits for Bryce Young, it's heavily favored that he plays better at home. He doesn't always play great at home, but he's much better at home than on the road, typically. So, but yeah, I know I understand the scenarios. I just cannot understand this. As a matter of fact, Kevin, it was shocking to me when they were 6-2 before their bye. I couldn't believe how well they were playing with Mike Evans out. Godwin wasn't himself. They had defensive injuries. Their defense wasn't playing great, but they were winning because Baker Mayfield was awesome. And then you got this rookie offense coordinator in his mid-30s, Josh Grizzard, who came out of nowhere doing a great job. But their offense is faded. No pass rush. JPP was activated off the practice squad. Hassan Reddick has not worked out. They're not the same team. Carolina down 2 inside backers for this game, which is concerning because Tampa will run the football. It's hard to when you're trying to understand these teams here. Carolina's been obviously a surprise, but Baker Mayfield's pretty clutch. I mean, if I had to take a team, it would be Tampa. But I'm so disappointed in the Bucs. They're not even playing close to the talent level that they have. To be honest with you,
it's an interesting. Because the disappointment, right? You have the Chiefs, the Lions, there's different teams. But for Tampa Bay, the thing that they had going for them is it's the AFC South. Like, if you look at Kansas City, the West is really good, right? You look at Detroit, the North is really good. Tampa Bay didn't have to be good to win this division, and it's been an absolute free fall. You have to be great to win the NFC West. Cap, I'm sure you're well aware. It feels impossible that Sam Darnold, for the second consecutive year, plays a Week 18 game where if he wins, he is the 1 seed, and if he loses, he is the 5 seed. And I know people will disagree with this and find it entirely disrespectful, and that's fine. Seattle, to me, though, is the one team that if they end up the 5 seed and playing the NFC South, they can lose. Because it means that Darnold in these big spots is vulnerable. I know everybody thinks the Niners need this game. Yes, I think both of these teams need this game here tomorrow night.
So let me start with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, it was really hard to believe, but you remember his final 2 games last year with the Vikings weren't very good, where they might have actually, because we probably talked about this last year at this time, they probably would have stuck with him, but they couldn't because he collapsed. Now, he had a great season. He's had a good season. It's their defense, which is elite. It doesn't carry them, but their defense leads the way to a certain extent. You don't want it to be on Darnold. So let me explain what happens to Darnold when it doesn't look good. He gets what we call getting stuck in the pocket. He freezes, and he doesn't know where to go with the football, and he turns the ball over. It doesn't look right. So that's what you worry about. I know that Niners, without the 2 best defensive players, Bosa and Warner, obviously, they're backed up corner that they're going to get these guys back. Seattle, though, I just love the way that they're playing. Now, Brock Purdy's finally healthy. Obviously, he played great last week. But Seattle should be the favorite here, and they were a team I was very high on this season. But I agree with your assessment. Because of the Darnold meltdown possibility, you can never discount them losing early in the playoffs. And as I've told you all season, Kevin, there are no dominant teams in the National Football League this season. No one's even close to dominant. A lot of good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle's one of them. But there are no dominant teams. In fact, I thought Craig Mish made a great point 3 or 4 weeks ago on Newswire. If you're a futures player, take 6 teams. Don't just take one. You and I and take one sleeper team. I'm telling you, can't just rely on the Rams. Look, you know where the Rams are right now. They're getting healthier. They had a couple guys hurt. How could you possibly think one team only should be the favorite? There's no favorite right now to win the Super Bowl. I don't care what the odds makers say.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. They got pushed to, they had to move the Rams back a bit from kind of being in their own space.
Yeah.
But they've not moved them back a ton. I actually think my analysis right now of the Super Bowl market is there's actually just not a lot of value because it's so congested right now, and you've got a 550 Seattle, a 550 Rams. The only team that I think looks, super enticing is actually, Baltimore, because you're getting nearly 20-1 on a team that was the preseason Super Bowl favorite. So you can kind of, try and talk through the number. And Cap, I mean, this is one of those things, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it Sunday, but Lamar Jackson has had one of the weirdest seasons. I mean, there's reporting out of Baltimore. Look, and I don't know what to make of it. I know I personally got very annoyed at some of the stuff that was said about Jalen Hurts in season, where they tried to blame everything on him. And that I think was mostly ridiculous. But people in Baltimore, some of them don't believe Lamar wants to be there long term. Cap.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but then there was the report. I think it might have been Mike Preston, who's covered the Ravens for decades. He used to be a beat reporter, now he's a columnist. I'm just talking about the Harbaugh-Jackson relationship. Harbaugh totally denied it, that there's a rift or anything wrong. It's just, look, and Lamar is going to want his contract redone. He's had a tough season. He's you set up very well. He's been hurt, illnesses. Their passing game has been wildly inconsistent. Henry has kind of carried them lately. Their defense was awful for a quarter of the season. Then got better, then it's been inconsistent. 20-1 is obviously a good number, but we haven't mentioned your Eagles, man. Their defense is elite. They're almost to where they were last year. They're the best defense of the second half of the season, in just about every metric that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And their offense, man, I know it sounds crazy. Hurts has thrown the ball extremely well since that Charger game, where he obviously had 5 turnovers, but he's thrown the ball very well. It's just that they got to call a game from pillar to post from beginning to end better. but they're capable. When you have that defense, and their running game has been better, Kevin, you know that, since their bye. It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not close to last season, but it's better. So you got that going for you if you're looking at the future numbers. I think the Eagles are a good one for you because they just did it last year. Yes, they lost 5 defensive starters, but look at the way that they're playing with all these new guys. It's remarkable what Vic Fangio has done as a defensive coordinator.
Can I, and Captain, maybe we'll end on this. And maybe your perception or anyone you speak to, the better defense, this year's Eagles or last year's Eagles?
Last year, because they were deeper, but they're going to get Nakobe Dean back for the playoffs, who's had a great season. It's real close. In fact, I have talked to people because they play a lot of obviously the same division. Their defense was known to be better last season, and the job that Fangio did in the Super Bowl without blitzing Kevin was ridiculous, unbelievable.
Yeah. It's one of these interesting things. I'm not sure where I land on that question. I do think this year's defense, though, is getting more credit than last year's defense did. I don't know necessarily why that is, but I feel as if maybe it's because the offense is so down in a lot of these games. The defense just kind of has to get the credit that it gets, but it makes for a really interesting situation. Always great to talk to NFL insider Adam Kaplan. We'll check in, of course, throughout this weekend. We're going to head over to Brady Cannon's world. What are we betting? Week 18. We'll find out on the other side.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there. Like, I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are live here on SportsGrid. We are joined by Brady Cannon. After we will get all the best bets, weekend, everything that you need. But first, Brady, can I just check in with this? And it's funny, I meant to ask you this when we spoke on Tuesday. Is the contest over or does it run until week 18?
I actually just posted that on Twitter. Our contest show is live. And yeah, this is the final week. This is for all the marbles, baby. Wow. We have 6 entries left in Circus. The inherent value of each of those tickets remaining is over $3.1 million because you have 18.7 in the pot, divided by the 6 entries that are remaining. So obviously that ticket is worth a bundle of cash. And, it's decision time. When you get to week 18 in the season, as I'm sure you can imagine, you're playing Survivor. You don't have a lot of great teams left. These guys are deep now. They've entry has the Jaguars left. They've got what looks to be an easy one with the Titans. One entry has the Patriots left. That looks to be an easy one over the Miami Dolphins. It looks like one entry or maybe two is going to use the Minnesota Vikings. And you've got one entry that the only favorites they have available are the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, do you want to have nearly $19 million on the line with riding with one of those teams? So, and the other thing that's beautiful about Derek Stevens and Circus Sports and Jeffrey Benson, they will readily make it available to people to open up a 7-figure line of credit because obviously, this guy is going to take the Atlanta Falcons or whatever, but he wants to put a lot of money on the Saints to hedge his bet, right? So if you can't find a way to make a couple big dollars at this point where you sit with a ticket that's worth that much money, you've got a problem. You should be able to walk away with a nice chunk of change this week, no matter what happens.
Do you know, Brady, I imagine who is more likely to take them up, say, on that line of credit? The guy who is going to be taking the short number or the guys with the big Jaguar, favorites where the Tennessee risk is much less to lock in profit? But right. Gamblers can't help themselves.
Right? Well, couple things. You want to remove any doubt. Okay. Yeah. The other thing is, what if you go in there, hey, I got the Jags favored by 13, I'm good. And what if they lose? Then you just missed away a lot of money.
Sure did.
So you got to cover all your bases. And there's also a tie or no tie market that Circa puts up because if the game ends in a tie, you lose. So, how brutal would that be if you didn't cover yourself on that end of things as well? And it ends in a tie, obviously a very rare occurrence, but you really have to cover yourself when you're dealing with this type of money. The other thing is you talk about, a Jacksonville or New England or something like that, some of these bigger favorites. You could play the Titans for a couple $1 million or whatever it is, plus the 13 points, plus 13.5, and possibly middle the deal. Win that bet and the Jaguars win and you cash in Circa Survivor. So there are a ton of options. You've got investors into these quote unquote corporations. I used to joke with Derek Stevens. He's created like cottage industries that blossom out of these situations because you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars and people are interested. I want to get involved. I want to invest in your company. Give me 10 grand. I want a piece, so there's so many different ways and so many different tangents that this Survivor contest has created. It's really fascinating. And it all comes down to this. Weekend.
I got to say, it doesn't, from this chair, right? I think a lot of people will be, I'd love to be in that position. My stomach's turning just thinking about the whole thing.
I hear you, man. I honestly, Kevin, I know the two gentlemen who are a couple of the most well-respected gamblers in the world, certainly here in Las Vegas. They managed the betting portfolio for Mattress Mac when he first came on the scene and had that, insurance policy, so to speak. He was hedging his bet against the furniture he was giving away. And he did that with the Astros needing to win the World Series. But he needed to find a way to insure all that furniture he was going to give away. So these gentlemen managed his hedging portfolio with the Astros and all the bets he was making throughout that World Series. And in the end, it came out in Game 7 or whatever it was, whether the Astros won or lost that game, Mattress Mac was going to make $7 million no matter what. So that's a pretty astute hedge right there. I'd probably call on those friends of mine and say, hey, figure out what I'm supposed to do here on this final week of Circa Survivor.
Yeah, that's what I would give away a portion. Just someone else handle this. Leave me alone. Call me at the end of it. Yeah. I'm actually not going to watch football this weekend.
For 5%.
Just get me. I
just want to sit back in a rocking chair and not drive myself crazy watching the Titans beat the Jaguars.
But last weekend, I had family at the house, and my brother and I play in a league, a fantasy league together. And one of us was going to finish second, one of us was going to finish third, top three make money. So we were happy. We had a little head-to-head. And the difference is like $150. And in that room, it's just he and I give him $150 without thinking twice. It doesn't matter. But we were both like, Jackson Dart, go! Right? And like, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
Millions.
I've said it many times. I could have
Lawrence.
$2 on a game and I'd be sweating it. It's the competition. That's what it's all about.
Well, 100%. Well, I have to ask Brady about at least 2 games. As much as, and I loved all of that, I'm not letting Brady leave. Maybe he's busy. If he is, of course, I'd let you go. But I don't think he is.
You know that. I only have like 14 jobs.
Aside from that, Brady's got all the time in the world. So what we will do after the break, we're just going to get a game or two that Brady and the group have circled in on as it pertains to Week 18. We'll get you your Friday 5 favorite bets for the NFL slate this weekend. GTD State University with a little bit of a flavor, an eye on your college basketball board as the bowl season is coming to a close. And then, of course, your best bets, which will feature the bowl season and some NBA action as well. Let's make it happen. We close it out after the break, live on a Friday night right here on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. There's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there?
Like, I
don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, we're going to close it out here on Friday night. Before that, Brady Cannon with us here. Brady, can you just let me know, you and the team always, go through these lines on a weekly basis. Week 18, a bunch of landmines, really like no other. Are there one or two games that you and your guys have felt good about now as Week 18 approaches?
Yeah, it's interesting. I typically land on underdogs, and one of my colleagues on the show, James Salinas, he's also a former Super Contest winner. He tends to gravitate towards dogs as well, and we both agreed there's not really a live dog on the board that we like this week, and I'm talking Jets, Dolphins, Titans, Arizona Cardinals, Cleveland Browns. I don't, in a normal week, I might want a piece of these teams, but this week I'm more interested in the favorites, really. As far as what we did with our contest picks, we did land on a couple dogs, and those are both Saturday dogs. We like the Panthers. Now they're plus 2.5 in the contest. If you like the Panthers, there's plenty of threes out there. We like the 49ers, and that line has actually moved. We had to take 1.5 in the contest, but we're seeing now 2.5s out in the live market. So some money coming in on Seattle, which is not necessarily surprising unless it gets to 3. Now, if it gets to 3, then you're going to obviously see some buyback, I would imagine, on San Francisco. But we like the 49ers in that game. We laid it with the Vikings, 7.5 in the Super Contest, 8.5 in the Circa Sports Million. And then we laid it with the Cowboys, minus 3.5, and the Rams in the contest at -7. And I've seen that line as high as 9. So I think that line is on the move as well. Just a massive injury discrepancy in the Rams and the Cardinals. The Cardinals might be the most injured team in the NFL right now.
Oh, I mentioned it on Pro Football Today. For those, the 6 score on the Arizona Cardinals is the worst I've ever seen in my entire life. It's totally, totally outrageous. Amazing. Brady, we appreciate it as always. Best of luck this weekend. And listen, to some degree, yeah, you wish you were in the final jackpot, but you're not going to have as much stress this weekend, so enjoy it.
Well, I wrote an article for CBS Sportsline. I just finished up. It'll be up tomorrow morning. We had a nice year. We hit, so far through 17 weeks, we're at about 54%. That'll make you a profit at the window, but it doesn't win you contests. So we'll be back after it next summer.
Awesome as always. Great stuff from Brady Cannon. As far as this weekend, the Friday 5, we got a couple of plays already locked in. We have AJ on the Niners on the money line. That's going to be his favorite bet. And Chris, the same. I will say this. You don't often see Chris and Sam on the same side. I don't know what that, or Chris and AJ, excuse me. They're not always head-to-head, but if they're seeing it together, I think that's a positive sign. I think we take that as a good look there. Yarnell, this guy. It's crazy. Here's the thing. I don't know what the hit rate of it is. If I'm being transparent, I think it's bad. But it does get a reaction every time. Chris Oladuncan, anytime touchdown. Plus 310. I would make that his odds for his career. Have an anytime touchdown. You got to be kidding me, man. All right, so there's that. Mystery Man Bucks -3. I don't know who that is, but I love it. I absolutely love it. That'll get you some respect in this house. I'm taking the cheese, the narrative, Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson was basically spoken down to by countless Bears reporters. He's like, I think it's important we win the game. They're like, you're new. It's important he throws for 4,000. All right, wake up. 2 seed, 3 seed, all good. Somebody better throw for 4,000, or we're going to be looking for a new man. That was the vibe. I think Caleb throws for 4,000 in the game. He might throw for 4,000 in the game. That's how I feel. Tonight, college basketball. Oh, no. What have we opened ourselves up to? All right, here we go. AJ, keeping it classy. Michigan State, Mooney line. I like it. I'm on it. I backed Sparty as well. Sam, South Carolina, plus 13.5. That's definitely tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Can't get mad at it. Who are they playing? Yep. All right. Awesome. South Carolina then. Plus 13.5 it is. Momchilovich over the 2.5 made threes. Iowa State, West Virginia from Chris. I like that. I am on the over in that game, 142.5. My favorite college bet tonight, under. 154.5, Gonzaga versus Seattle. I like the under in this game. Seattle is a slow defensive team who can't score. I think the Zags squeeze this group, keep them under 65, and then you're going to see Gonzaga. I think they won't be in the 90s tonight. I think that's a well-oiled under tonight at 154.5. And then your best bets for the remainder of this slate. Chat, Holmgren over the 26.5. Holiday Bowl over. Yamir Knight anytime touchdown. Also, took the points with the Kings. Laid in with the Lakers. In Game Live is next. We'll see you next week.